Tough times never last, but with God's help, tough people do. So said one preacher, and with God's help, RoRo and Eline Eustache have certainly outlasted their share of tough times. RoRo Eustache grew up in Haiti. When he was just 9 years old, he was expelled from his Catholic school because he carried a Bible in his backpack. In those days, the Catholic Church didn't allow people to read the Bible themselves. Any questions had to go through a priest, and young RoRo felt the sting of the church's rejection. He stopped attending church altogether and thought, how could God have let such a thing happen? A young Haitian boy kicked out of school? Tough times indeed. And for years, RoRo struggled with anger toward God. But years later, as a young man, someone invited him again to church, and this time, RoRo decided to give it another try. RoRo admits what he first noticed at church wasn't exactly faith-related. It was the beautiful young ladies in the congregation. One in particular, her name was Eline, and as they became friends, Eline began to teach RoRo about Jesus. She shared Bible verses and Christian hymns with him. Eline and her friends introduced RoRo to the joy of true Christian fellowship, and on February 17, 1977, RoRo gave his life to Christ. The very next day, he bought a Bible and committed himself to read it from Genesis to Revelation by the end of the year. He also began to read Bible studies, books that deeply moved him, and he began to translate into Creole 2 books by OCC professors, Learning from Jesus by Seth Wilson and If You Want to Preach by Don DeWelt. God began to move RoRo toward a life of ministry, and in 1978, he began to preach in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. But he felt his lack of education. He wanted to learn more, to be better equipped. But how? It seemed impossible. Tough times. But in 1980, God ordained a meeting with a man named Bill Hotchler from Millersburg Christian Church in Ohio. Bill had long felt a burden for Haiti, and he had committed, in his words, to do something in Haiti that will last. When Bill met RoRo, he saw a way that dream could be fulfilled. He saw RoRo's heart to minister to the people of Haiti, and Bill decided to personally pay for RoRo's education at Ozark Christian College. So RoRo and Eline packed their bags and moved to Joplin, Missouri. On his first Sunday at Ozark, RoRo went to the cafeteria for lunch, and he saw President Ken Idleman there, wearing an apron, serving food to the students himself. And Ken's humility struck a chord. I told myself, says RoRo, that I wanted to be a servant like Ken Idleman. He says the spiritual formation and examples and practical training we received here at Ozark continue to influence us to this day. RoRo and Eline both graduated from Ozark in 1984, but when they returned to Haiti, hoping to serve their home church, they discovered that their vision was not shared by those in the congregation, and RoRo's calling to preach went unused. More tough times. But God was preparing them for something else. The Lord affirmed his call to preach, so RoRo and Eline founded Haitian Christian Outreach in 1985. They rented a small space in Port-au-Prince and began gathering with 5 other believers to pray and study Scripture. They had no chairs available, so everyone just brought their own chair from home, a humble beginning. But the Lord was at work, and what started small quickly grew. RoRo and Eline would walk the streets. They visited homes, prayed with neighbors, shared the hope of Jesus, and lives were transformed, especially among young people, and new believers were being baptized every week. By year's end, the gathering had grown from 7 to more than 200. In 1993, RoRo returned to the United States for further education. He attended Lincoln Christian Seminary. And after earning his master's degree, he returned to Haiti. And in those years, God blessed RoRo and Eline with 3 children. Carl, who now works for the U.S. Congress, Kimberly, who's now an ER physician, and Kendra, who is now a chef. And all 3 children loved the Lord and served their church. And even as their family expanded, so did the ministry of Haitian Christian Outreach. RoRo remembered Bill Hotchler's dream to do something in Haiti that would last. And so, to make that lasting difference, Haitian Christian Outreach put together a 4-fold strategy: church planting, education, healthcare, and community development. RoRo began to train pastors and church leaders who then planted churches, and today there are 10 new churches planted by Haitian Christian Outreach. Last year alone, 128 new believers were baptized, and over the years in those churches, thousands have come to know Jesus. HCO also started 6 Christian schools, and every day more than 1,600 students get an excellent education rooted deeply in the Christian faith. HCO built a hospital, which has become a beacon of hope to all of southern Haiti. Last year, they treated over 3,600 patients, performed over 100 surgeries, and safely delivered almost 90 babies. Haitian Christian Outreach also partners with local leaders in southern Haiti to meet community needs, distributing food to families, ministering to inmates at Jacmel Prison, and last year rebuilding a much-needed road to the hospital. What began in 1985 with just those few borrowed chairs and 7 faithful hearts has now become a ministry impacting communities across Haiti for Jesus Christ. Of course, over those last 40 years, the ministry has faced many trials: political unrest, economic challenges, natural disasters, hostility and persecution and violence. Not long ago, gangs broke into the Port-au-Prince campus of one of their churches and schools. The gangs looted the contents and destroyed the buildings, and the loss was heartbreaking. But in His grace, God spared the believers. No one was harmed. The church and school relocated. The believers continued to gather faithfully each week for worship, and school remains in session. Each day, students still learn about math and reading and science and the goodness of God. Because tough times never last, but with God's help, tough people do. In God's good providence, RoRo and Eline have endured, building a ministry that, in Bill Hotchler's words, can do something for Haiti that will last. RoRo and Eline Eustache, on behalf of all of us at Ozark Christian College and Lincoln Seminary, well done, good and faithful servants.